Day 5 of the Super 8 rounds of the T20 World Cup 2026 was definitely an interesting one. It had the spotlight throughout the day as three teams had their eyes on this high-stakes encounter between New Zealand and Sri Lanka that just ended a while ago at Colombo. And what were those three teams? The three teams that had their eyes on today's game between New Zealand and Sri Lanka were, of course, New Zealand, Sri Lanka, the two teams playing each other, and Pakistan, who, by the way, were not directly involved in today's match, but indirectly they were secretly hoping for Sri Lanka to win this. But alas, all their hopes really, dried out. Well, maybe not completely dried out, but to some extent it did really, added to the misery of the Pakistani fans, to the, I'd say, the anxiety of the Pakistani fans, as today's results did not go as per what Sri Lanka and Pakistan anticipated as well. And so Pakistani fans and Pakistani team were also secretly hoping for Sri Lanka to win this one. Why? Because Pakistan, who already lost their high stakes encounter yesterday against England, are now in a very difficult position, to the point that they're almost at the brink of extinction from the T20 World Cup 2026, and it's a very difficult, almost impossible for them to make it to the semi-finals now. And they're secretly going to hope that after today's encounter between New Zealand and Sri Lanka, which, by the way, New Zealand won by 61 runs, they are now hoping, the Pakistani team would now be hoping for England to win against New Zealand, to win tomorrow's game against, to win the next game against New Zealand. The game on 27th February 2026 holds immense importance now, especially for the Pakistani team, who would be hoping that England beats New Zealand on that day, and not only beats New Zealand with a heavy margin that day. That, in addition to Pakistan beating Sri Lanka on the 28th of February 2026, and these are two of the results. And by the way, with a heavy margin, because net run rate now has a heightened importance in this group, especially. So this group is now left with only two games for the rest of the Super 8 round on the T20 World Cup 2026, and those two games are New Zealand versus England. England are already through to the semis, the first team to qualify for the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup 2026, and New Zealand, well, they have a bright chance of making to the semi-finals, especially after today's victory against Sri Lanka. They now stand at the points table in contention with the Pakistani team. And New Zealand now have 3 points in the bag for them. Pakistan team currently stands at only 1 point, and that point was also given to them. That point was also, bagged by them after New Zealand versus Pakistan game was washed out. And, right after that, Pakistan lost their second Super 8 encounter against England. And of course, that was a very unfortunate, I wouldn't say unfortunate, but because Pakistan really did make some tactical errors, tactical blunders, and you make blunders like this, well, this is the result that you get, and you shouldn't be really, shocked when you're not making the efforts that are required. So in order to win tournaments, you really need to, learn from your mistakes. And Pakistan hasn't really been up to the mark in that sort. Speaking of which, Sri Lanka today were not in their groove as well. And honestly, I have been saying it in my early podcast as well. Sri Lanka is a team that every other team needs to take notes from. Dasun Shanaka is the captain, the go-to captain that every team really needs to, take notes from. Every other captain really needs to take notes from at this point of time. But Dasun Shanaka, to be honest, he's a good captain. I agree with that, but not such a good batter. Yeah, and he's proven this in this T20 World Cup 2026. But I would still back him as a captain. And, although Sri Lanka are officially out of the T20 World Cup 2026, but them making it this far in the tournament to the Super 8 round is a win in itself. Similar to Zimbabwe, who have a very slim chance of making to the semi-finals in Group 1 as well. But, them making it to the Super 8 round, especially after all the political turmoil, the cricketing, in the cricketing world, the downsides that they had to face, the dilemma that they had to face, the drought that they had to face, especially after all that, them making it to the super round, talking about Zimbabwe, was very heartwarming to see. And I'm especially happy for Team West Indies, who have, just decided that they're going to portray a replica of 2016 World Cup this year as well. And in Group 1, of course. Now, if I talk about Group 2, it's got into an interesting point. Well, maybe not so interesting if you look at it on paper. It's actually very straightforward. New Zealand and England are two contenders England is already through to the semi-finals, but New Zealand is the other very strong contender for the semi-finals, and they actually have a very bright chance. I'd say 90%. They're already into the semis. All they need is that win against England to officiate things, of course. And if that happens, well, it's officially game over for Pakistan, because then Pakistan versus Sri Lanka would be a dead rubber game. But now, if I talk about today's game, if I analyze today's game a bit, I personally was very disappointed by the Sri Lankan team. Why? Because although the decisions at the toss were done right, nicely done, all the right decisions were taken at the toss. Sri Lanka won the toss, decided to bowl first. Very good decisions. I've been anticipating. I've been reiterating this since a long time now, that Sri Lanka should really just choose to bowl if they win the toss. And same goes for Pakistan. If they win the toss, they should choose to bat first, because their strength lies in batting first. Pakistani team, and for Sri Lanka, their strength lies in bowling first. So Sri Lanka, of course, they won the toss, decided to bowl first. Good decision, and they really made that decision into their favor as well by bagging some early wickets, really bowling well in the middle overs, and really making good. I won't say good use, but I'd say, and it was not a bad use of the death overs. Because why do I say that? Because the start that the Sri Lankan bowlers had gotten, with New Zealand being 57 for 5, they should have restricted New Zealand to a score of under 140. Even 140 on this pitch would have been more than enough. But 168 was way too much for the Sri Lankan side. For the Sri Lankan side, and especially on this pitch, on the conditions of Colombo, it was way too much. So, of course, as expected, the Sri Lankan batters couldn't really perform well. I had my hopes high from Pathum Nissanka and Pavan Ratnayake, and then of course the Mendes duo, who already of course stepped up in many situations for Sri Lanka. But today it really wasn't their day. They couldn't really judge the conditions well, and those two stump outs that were back-to-back stump outs, and I wasn't very happy with that, because that just shows that you're just aiming to hit blindly. You're not even taking a full use, or you're not even utilizing your conditions properly. You're not even judging the pitch well. You're not even judging the type of delivery that's coming to you. It was evident that they were not timing their shots well, and they were precisely doing the mistakes that Pakistan had done earlier. So in that sort, it was kind of a deja vu for me. But yeah, so Sri Lanka only have themselves to blame for today's loss. And speaking of which, if I talk about the New Zealand side, I had been reiterating it for a long time now, and this is exactly what happened today. And it is the fact that if you take a close look, analytical look at the New Zealand side, well, over the years, this the strength of Team New Zealand lies in defending a certain target. So what's really miraculous, I'd say, about Team New Zealand is the fact that they have such a strong bowling unit that no matter how low the total is, their bowlers will still find a way to defend it. And that is exactly what happened today. Rachin Ravindra was exceptional with the ball, exceptional with the bat, and in that sort he bagged 4 wickets for his team, alongside scoring a magnificent innings of 32 for 22. An impactful innings indeed. And impact matters more than stats, I'd say. And stats with impact, they go hand in hand, so both are equally important, I'd say. But yeah, in these kind of situations, impact really does take the lead over some stats. So yeah, I think that is what really matters. And New Zealand, well, they had done their homework right, and they had from day one of this tournament, New Zealand looked a very promising side. I had my reservations from their batting side, but then I was also reassured by the fact that I've seen New Zealand really develop into a really good team over the years, especially under Kane Williams, and now under the captaincy of Mitchell Santner, who by the way has been so brilliant as a captain. He's been a very smart captain for Team New Zealand, and he's been very smart in that. So he does his homework well. He really knows the playing 11 that he needs to play, and when to utilize a certain bowler, the perfect transition between pacers and spinners. All that really matters, and then really matters. And then the notion of not giving up, the notion of taking it to the last ball is what makes New Zealand, and Australia. By the way, Australia, I won't say the same, especially looking at this their situation, their condition in the T20 World Cup 2026. They really have a lot to reflect upon. But yeah, as we move towards the end of this video, all I want to say is it was tough luck for Sri Lanka today, but maybe not so much of a tough luck, because they were not really in their group with the bat right from the start. They could have easily, they needed the required run rate was just over 9, so they almost needed 9.3 per overs to chase down that target of 169, and they could have done it had and I feel like they are still a bit more dependent on Pathum Nissanka to really bat for them. The way Pakistan has been over dependent on Babar Azam for a long period of time now, and so in that sort, I found that similarity between the Pakistani team and the Sri Lanka side today. And I really hope that Sri Lanka learns from this and they carries this form ahead. But congratulations to Team New Zealand for an exceptional win today, and I really hope that things go as planned. And but if I talk about it on paper, of course officially it's kind of very impossible for Pakistan. It's not really that possible for Pakistan to make it to the semi-finals now. But if I take you back to 2022 World Cup, we all saw what happened. Netherlands beat South Africa miraculously, and at that expense, Pakistan made it to the semi-finals and then the finals. And ever since then, Pakistan has struggled to make it to the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. And the same story continues. So yeah, so only the years change. Nothing has since 2022. Only the years have changed. Nothing has really changed in Pakistan's batting side, bowling side, the strategy, the mindset, the intent. So there's a lot that Pakistan needs to reflect upon. And frankly speaking, even if Pakistan doesn't make it, even if Pakistan makes it, even if Pakistan makes it, there's still a lot that needs to be pondered upon. And to be honest, I would regard it as a qualification that is solely based on others winning and losing. So Group 1, Group 2 are both in an interesting stage now, and England is the only confirmed semi-finals for now, and New Zealand are, well, they're 80% the contenders for making, I'd say 90% the contenders of making to the semi-finals. And as for Pakistan, the dilemma continues. Another year, I'd say the same mistakes, only the year changes. I really hope Pakistan learns from their mistakes, and Sri Lanka, on the other hand, learns from their mistakes as well. They have the potential to really dominate the cricketing world in the upcoming years. I know it sounds too much of a fantasy. I know it sounds a bit delusional, but trust me, if they have the potential to make it to the Super 8s now, they have the potential to really dominate the cricketing world in the upcoming years. And with that, this is your host Noorish Khan signing off for now. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe Master Sports Network, your go-to platform for all the cricketing updates. Till next time, this is your host Noorish Khan signing off. See you.